So I've been really into horror anime recently, and there's not a lot of shows. Surprisingly, like there's a lot of horror in Japan with like J-horror, all the black hair in front of the face girls, whatever they are. That's always been a thing, but the anime for some reason hasn't, and I think censorship is a big part in Japan. I mean, Attack on Titan censored, Psychopaths, which I'm currently watching, has been censored. I don't know what it is about the animated stuff that is. And so back in the 80s and 90s, they made a bunch of 45-minute to an hour movies that were pretty hyper violent. And I've been watching those, not for the violence sake, but because I think horror anime, for some reason, really does it well. I think it. I don't know how to explain it. It's so interesting. They go by so fast for me. Like, usually movies don't, but I think they just hit the action so hard. They're called OVAs, they're original video animations, which to me is just anime because they're all original. They're all videos and they're all animations, but it's a specific thing. Usually about 45 minutes long, so it's like a little bit longer than an episode of something. Anime episodes tend to be actually 22 minutes. But anyway, so they're self-contained stories. They almost always never really have, to my understanding, a sequel. It's like mini movies. And so I've been watching a lot of those, and I watched Blood, the Last Vampire, about a vampire, the last vampire. Gosh, imagine that. The title's accurate. Is a vampire who kills demons. Sounds pretty simple, right? Sounds pretty basic, but it was so cool. I thought the animation was awesome because it's one of those situations where the background and everything is so hyper realistic, very pretty, painted well, and then the characters themselves are very two-dimensional, and I think that dichotomy just like it works for me. I don't consider it lazy. There's nothing lazy about it to me. It's very deliberate, and I like that. And I think the thing about this movie and just like those OVAs in general is that there's a lot of really good choreographed action. And you might think, oh, you can't choreograph animation. I think it's all choreographed. And the beautiful part about it is I think there's more freedom. Like, you don't have to rely on multiple different people to follow through with your vision of what something should look like. It's literally images. You can do whatever you want. And what was nice about this one is it wasn't over the top either. Like, I think sometimes action in different animes can get really, what's it called, comical. Like, Kill Bill Volume 1 took from anime in that way of being like extreme explosions, blood, blah, blah, blah. It was very animated. It was very anime style. But that's not how, it often is. And so it was really nice to see just like a very unrealistic situation made very realistic in its depiction. And it was really cool. Like, none of the deaths or any of the action seemed unrealistic, that it couldn't happen, even if it was a vampire fighting a demon. And I like that because it grounds it for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a hard time with fantasy because it's extra not real. Like, ghosts, yeah, I believe ghosts exist. All these other things. And I'm not saying those other things don't exist, but let me tell you, in order for me to come into that world, I've got to believe that that world has rules that align with mine. So I really hate allegorical films, metaphorical films, things that are highfalutin. I'm just not a fan. And so I thought that was really good about this movie. I will say, though, that it should have been longer. I think it could have been either a full movie or part of a show. It does have a show called Blood Sea that's kind of an offshoot of it, but I heard it's not as serious, which I'm not a huge fan of. This was a deadly serious movie. Not like, it gets super dark, but I mean, there was not a single laugh in it whatsoever. It took itself very seriously and followed through with it. Sometimes I feel like with anime, it takes itself so seriously, but it is so just like cheesy or poorly done. I mean, this one really earned it. So I think I might give the show a shot. I have no real idea. I'm watching some other things right now, and I just don't know. I haven't been into vampires my entire life. I just don't understand the appeal of blood, like drinking it, anything like that. It doesn't scare me. If someone were to bite my neck, I'd be like, get away. Like, bugs do that all the time. Like, what's different? Oh, cool, you're pale. Like, that doesn't matter to me. It's never scared me whatsoever. So I think right now I'm trying to approach vampirism from the lore perspective. Seeing Last Voyage of the Demeter made me realize, there is a long history of vampire stuff, and I think it might have been a bit skewed with Twilight and stuff, which I like, don't get me wrong, but I do think maybe I lost the horror of it. And this movie didn't really reinvigorate that desire for me to learn more. But I think I wouldn't recommend it as a vampire movie really either, because she doesn't bite anybody, so I couldn't say, like, hey, watch this as a vampire movie if you like it, because she doesn't do that whatsoever. That just hit me. That just hit me. It really, she didn't have to be a vampire at all. She could have been just a regular, like, troll. She could have been literally, okay, alright, well, maybe my thoughts in the movie went down just a smidge. They did not lean into the vampire stuff at all. Huh. You're just seeing me just, like, my brain just, like, work. It's also, I'm exhausted, so my brain's not working much at all. Okay. Still recommend it, though.